believe that Ronald Reagan was called the great communicator. Well, in my family, there is another great communicator. That is my brother, David. I'm very grateful for the steadfast and devoted attention that he gave Ahdel during the last few months, and the amazing vlog that he kept on his website detailing all of the events of his stays. So, very stable.
Yeah, well, I asked for the Gershwin. Because she used to play that. Mother had a favorite funeral. This is what she told me. She came home, she said, this was the greatest funeral. She said it was for Mrs. Tandy here, and she said at some point in the funeral, of course there were a zillion people, there were like thousands of balloons released. And we were going to do that, but it wasn't in the budget. You know, people would frequently ask her what was responsible for her longevity and health. And, you know, it might just be genes, but, and certainly that's part of it. But she would respond, always tried to have a positive outlook, and humor, you know, always making humor a part of her life. And she had these little exercises she do in the morning that sort of came out of yoga. And she thought, you know, that helped. Now, as Mark mentioned, the older she got, the more she got into sweets and candy. But, you know, I got a tooth missing, and she doesn't. You know, she lost her wisdom teeth when she was young, but all her teeth were good. And she and I were at Colonial eating like in June, and we'd both forgotten our reading glasses, and I had to hand the menu to her. A small print. So anyway, she certainly did a good job of, I'd say, of cultivating herself in her life. And one thing that really impressed me about her, and you know, was seeing how she dealt with, you know, well, it was when my father died, it was very devastating, and you know, it took her time, but she she believed in reincarnation, and but she had, you know, Socrates said the unexamined life is not worth living, and I don't know if I agree with that, but she had an examined life, and in a way that you wouldn't know, because she didn't talk about herself, you know. And she really looked at, you know, we all have faults that bother us. She looked at the faults that she had that bothered her, and she looked for the root of them. And she really got more and more like mentally healthy as she got older, which doesn't happen to everybody. And that was always very impressive to me. And another way that she would exercise self-inquiry was, every once in a while, I would like find her making faces at herself in the mirror. So that was always fun. And you know, anybody that knew her was around her. We had a sort of salon in the house, all my friends, and other people, they liked to come over because she was non-judgmental, open-minded, accepting. She was really a bit of a libertine in a sense. She was the first person I ever heard, like she let us do anything, but she was like overly permissive, you might say. But we couldn't speak ill of others, especially homosexuals. And she was the first person she was the first person that taught me not to be homophobic. And I think that's pretty remarkable. Now, one interesting thing about an event like this now is I don't think there have been many times in history where there's like a funeral or a memorial or a service for somebody who's passed on where people don't share the same worldview, cosmic view, religion, right? We're just all over the board here in the way we look at things. But one thing, almost all ways of looking at life and the world and that have in common is how we treat others. And she was exemplary in that, and that was a great teaching that any of us who were around her would get from her on that. We had, we didn't go to church, but I would say our family religion was, say, out of Emerson. That would be the roots of it. I would say Mother would have one last request. That is, we need to find a home for her cat, Sunshine. Thank you.